Hi everyone! Whoop! My mic just fell. Welcome back. If you're new, I'm Periwinkle Jellyfish, and I'm a silly little person that draws silly little characters and dreamscapes. Today, I'm neither going to be drawing a dreamscape nor a new character. I'm going to be drawing a scene with characters that I already have because I thought this would be a fun change of pace and a good thing to practice. So, you might be able to tell by the character that just flashed on the screen and the teapot that I'm drawing, but today we're going to be drawing a tea time party, or just a tea party, I guess, with my characters. So for the characters in attendance, we naturally have our tea time girly, who still doesn't have a name. Please give me any ideas you have in the comments. And let me think, what else? I decided that she would be hosting this tea party because who else would be, you know? So we have, as you can see, there are 3 seats, so 3 characters will be in attendance. Now we're drawing a rough sketch for the second character, and you'll start to see who in a second when I'm starting to get down into the nitty-gritty details. I had my original drawing of each character up on my Clip Studio Paint app, so all I had to do was just flip between them so I could get the right colors, see the little details, and make sure I get them recreated correctly. Now for our third character, and we're about to get into the nitty-gritty details and see which characters I'm going to be adding into this. You already know one, but we'll get into the other 2 in a minute. So we have a little plate of cookies, and one of them is grabbing this cookie just because I feel like they would probably want it. So now let's move on to this character. Now we're going to be starting off with our tea time character. Since she's in the middle, she kind of is the center of attention, kind of. And now let's reveal who the second character is going to be. Drum roll, please. It's our character from the Dreamy Dreamscape we drew last video. Please give me any suggestions you have for her name as well in the comments because we're still looking. Now I'm adding myself because I really wanted to be there too. I want to interact with my characters, and I thought that the closest I can get to that is drawing my avatar hanging out with them, so, oh well. So, now you know who all the characters are. We are going to have a tea party with our tea time character, the character from our last Dreamy Dreamscape, and myself. So, now we're moving on to the hair of our tea time character, and that beautiful messy bun that she's always wearing. We have the hair down on all the characters, and now we're moving on to the clothes. I had to check on a few details for my avatar just to make sure that I was getting everything right. I have that little see-through ribbons on her skirt, and I'm adding that little butterfly brooch thing on her sleeve, her little collar. And now we are adding that bow and moving on to the staircase dreamscape character. I don't know what else to call her. So I'm adding her gloves, the sleeve, her earrings, and adjusting them a little bit to make the earrings just a little bigger. And now we're moving on to last but of course not least, our tea time character's clothes. So we just got to add those Mary Janes, and we are just about ready for line art, I believe. Am I correct? Yes! Okay. So now we're going over the line art, and I'm doing my best not to make any mistakes, but I have very shaky hands, so every once in a while I have to retry just a specific hand or something just over and over and over again until I get it right and I'm satisfied with it. So that's a little bit annoying, but oh well, it happens to the best of us. So, let me think, what else to add? Now I'm working on the staircase characters, design, I guess? Not design. I don't know what to call her. I'm just gonna call her the staircase character for now because I don't know what else to call her by. She needs a name, please. Now working on the hair of my avatar. And now let's work on our lovely tea time character's hair as well. Now for that messy bun and those earrings. So now we're moving on to those lovely see-through sleeves. That's kind of hard to say. See-through sleeves. Hard to say really fast. So now I'm working on those gloves and the little poofy sleeves of our tea time character, who also really needs a name, kind of desperately. I'm working on the earrings and the clothes of my character now, and working on that poofy skirt and her boots. I love those boots. And now we're moving on to Boba. And 3, 2, 1, stab! One thing about me is that I absolutely love bubble tea, and I practically run off of it, and I'm constantly nagging my family or friends to go to get bubble tea with me. And I happened to get some on the day that I was working on this drawing, and I thought, hey, maybe I should sip some while I'm working on this drawing, and it'll give me the energy to get this thing done. So I decided to have it in the background, and you can kind of see as it slowly gets less and less full. So I'm working on the chair, or not the chair, the table, and now we're working on the chairs. So I'm trying to find a way to make the chairs not look very awkward. I just accidentally slapped my microphone with my index finger. Whoops. Okay. The chairs looked a little bit wonky, so I fixed them a little bit. And then I decided to move on to drawing my tea time character's dress. And it was around this point where I noticed that I was missing her, the little card motifs on her dress, but I had to figure out how to fix that in a minute. Now I'm working on their facial expressions and faces, because that's how I will express how they're feeling in this moment and this cute little cozy scene, and I want them all to be happy here, because who doesn't want to be happy? So now I am giving my character that cookie, because I like cookies. And now let's move on to drawing that teacup and that little teapot, and the card deck motifs on the teapot to really show that this is my tea time characters. This way, they kind of just has a similarity to her, and you can kind of see very easily that it's hers. So we're finishing up on those little teacups, and we just got to move on to one final one, and then we should be just about ready to get into coloring. Oh, never mind, I lied. I'm working on the card motifs on her dress, which I realized that I forgot. So I used the copy and paste tool as recommended by one of my viewers, and I moved on to coloring periwinkle jellyfishes, aka my hair. This is very sped up because narrating this is kind of tricky to make entertaining. And now I am moving on and just finishing up that cup of bubble tea. And now we can move on to coloring in my outfit. So I have the base color of my dress, and I'm just trying to get that all colored in and use the bucket tool a little bit just for simplicity. Now I'm using the light blue in my outfit for some of the little accessories. And now let's get to that beautiful earring. And now we're working on those little see-through pieces of fabric and ribbon. Little did I know that this was on the same layer as my blue accessories, so the blue accessories would be of low opacity when I change the ribbons to low opacity, which isn't too big of a deal, but just mildly annoying. So I had to fix it later. Yay. You can see now that I realized what was happening and had to redo it. So yeah, just quickly get that covered up, and there we go. So I'm just going to quickly finish that up, just doing it a little bit quicker this time. And there we go. Now that ordeal is dealt with, let's move on to a bug break. Bugs. Hello. You want a piece? Hi. Frida is a complete and utter Velcro pug, so if she does not have a lap or a sunbeam to sit in, she will die. I'm being sarcastic, of course. But, yeah, as you can see, she's in frame and just sitting on my lap, just, being cozy, having a good time. And now we're going to move on to a screen recorded version of this time lapse. So let's move on to the hair streakies. I tried my best to make this as quick as possible and to have all the colors convening in her messy bun, since if all her hair is going up in that messy bun, then theoretically all the colors should be meeting up in there as well. So, I was trying to make my colors not too similar, but also noticeably different, if that makes sense. It's a fine line to cross, and I still am experimenting with this process and figuring out what works best for me. So far, I think I'm getting somewhere, though. So, let me think. I'm working on the hair, just making sure that everything looks random enough. I'm trying to get some of the exact colors that I used before, and then just putting them wherever I want. And now we're moving on to the dress and accessories. So we're getting in those pearls and the shoes. And now we're moving on to her dress, which is that beautiful scarlet red. And of course, the golden color as well, but I had to just do a little bit of editing around the table because of just layer and can't talk today. Oh my goodness, layer issues. So I finish up with that, and now I'm trying my best to basically fix a tiny little mistake that I did. Once I'm done with that, I make the opacity maximum again, get that nice little frills, and now we move on to the thingy, the card motifs. There we go. So now I'm adding those card motifs, and as mentioned earlier, I'm using the copy and paste tool because I think it made things a lot easier, and one of my viewers recommended it to me, and thank you so much for that because it definitely does make the process a whole lot quicker. So now I am moving on to coloring in her eyes, and now moving on to the other one, and now we can move on to coloring in her skin. It'll be there in a second, and there we go. So I'm just, filling in the gaps basically. And there we go. Don't know what else to add. Now we're going to color in her eyes. So we're adding that nice rich brown and then a deeper gradient to it just to make things a little bit nicer. And then of course the white part of the eyes. I always forget what it's called. Okay. Now we can move on to the character from the dreamscape in last video. So let's start out with her hair. Okay, so I'm going back and forth between the original drawing that I did for her and this one, so I can just, get the colors down just right. I had to erase a bit around the ears because using the bucket tool, it tends to make this little mistake, but that's on me and it's not really too big of a deal. I just need to erase around it. Now it's about time for those little hair streakies, so let's begin with that process. Paper just fell down. I'll grab that in a second. Okay, so we're adding those little hair streakies, and I'm trying to make things not as vibrant as I usually would, just like I did before in her original drawing. Everything was a bit more muted. So I was trying to stick to that as best I could, but my brain naturally goes to vibrant colors, so this was a little bit hard for me. So I am almost done with the hair streakies. You can see that the effect is starting to come together really quickly. Just a few more colors and then we will be done. Okay. So we're adding a streak that's slightly more blue and then a few more that are just covering in the gaps. And then what's next past Perry? It is checking out what color the see-through sleeves are. I had to adjust the opacity to get the exact color and then we could get that done. So we're just going to add this and then another layer of it on top. And there we go. So now we're working on the dress, and as a note for me, after I drew this is just editing me, I forgot the sequins on her dress and I am so mad about that. It's not too big of a deal, but I'm still really upset about it. Oh well. So now we're coloring in her skin, and we can get to the earrings. I have to check what colors they were, And there we go. So now I'm just getting that blue diamond one. It kind of reminds me of Rarity from My Little Pony, the blue little diamond. And now we'll work on her mouth, and then we can get to her eyes, if I remember correctly. So I'm adjusting some mistakes I noticed in the Tea Time character, and now we can get to the eyes. So now that is done, all the characters themselves are completed and colored in, so all we have to do now is do the background. I like for my characters to be fairly detailed, so they're the center of attention, and then the backgrounds are fairly simplistic and not as fancy. So I'm coloring in the chair, and the chairs, plural. And this is fairly simple. Just a mix of the bucket tool and then just filling them in myself for some little mistakes. And there we go. Now we can color in the gaps in between the handles of the teacups and mugs. And now I'm coloring in the teapot. Now we're going to get those teacups done. And of course, we need to fill them up with tea because they kind of need that. So we're just about done with that. Now all I'm doing is coloring in that little, I almost said table of cookies, plate of cookies, and giving myself one as well. And now we just need to do the background of the background. And as I mentioned, this is going to be a very, very simple background because I was getting tired, and also I didn't want the background to be the center of attention. I wanted all the attention to go towards my characters. So just a few finishing details, and now we're into rendering. So we are just going to color over everything and make all the colors just kind of pop. And now you'll start to see a little bit of a difference. It's fairly minor, but it is a good detail, I think. So now we're just adding all of that. And I'm trying to make this a fairly simple process, but since there are so many characters, or 3, I guess, that's not too many, but it's more than I usually would have in one drawing, the rendering process takes a little bit longer than it usually would. So now we're coloring in the eyes, just getting all those colors right. And let's move on to the Tea Time character's hair and her outfit as well. Now for the Dreamscape character. My goodness, the words are not coming to my mouth fast enough today. Okay. Moving on, we're just coloring in her face and trying to get everything right. I was making a few mistakes every once in a while, but that's just part of being human, I guess. So now I'm just finishing that up, and as a final finishing touch, I thought it would be nice and cozy to add like a beam of sunlight or two. So I did a few of those, made it add glow, changed the opacity, and blurred it just a little bit, and then we were completely done with this drawing. Just give it a second and do-do-do-do-do-do. So here's our finished drawing. Thank you so much for watching this video through to the end. And we still do need name ideas for our Tea Time and Dreamscape character. So if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching this video through to the end. And I believe that's all, so I will see you again soon. Bye!